following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Unsupervised, the Spinoff. This week, your friendly neighborhood hosts discuss the country from a black professional corporate perspective. We'll listen to an argument between a young white lady and her parents and share thoughts. We have a wacky stat of the week that's thought-provoking. In petty party politics, the president dude flexed on the country. So we took a turn and ended up discussing the 25th Amendment. Then, we get back to discussing solutions. We're hurting too. Put on some bandages and enjoy the show. Hey man. Is this thing on?
Yo, is this thing on?
Yo, hold on, let me tell my mic. Is this thing on?
Are we recording?
I think you recording this bitch, man.
Yo, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I feel like I can hear you. I think we're in the building, bro.
We in the shit. Hey, we in the building. Y'all already know what I'm gonna say then. Let's get it then. Unsupervised spinoff. People. Welcome back. You guys are back, man. Episode 18, Unsupervised spinoff podcast. Powered only on the Defy Life Podcast Network. Check us out. Check out that written content at godefylife.com. Check out the family at defylifepods.com. Our gear page at defylifegear.com. And our Patreon page as well at patreon.com/godefylife. Episode 17, man. It's your boy, M. Dot. We are back.
Episode 18, Pimp.
What did I just say?
Not 18.
Oh, my bad. Episode 18.
Yeah.
Shit. Oh, 17? Episode 17 was dope. Go back and check it out. This is episode 18. It's your boy, M. Dot. Mr. Real himself. The Real is back. It's 2 for Tuesdays, except it's not Tuesday. Y'all already know that because we don't have a show up. But we're here, man. I'm back with my amazing co-host, Hollywood Paul, West Coast Jay. West Coast Jay, man, what they do?
You know me, I'm out here still ducking and dodging the Rona. And now apparently I'm also ducking and dodging the racism. I mean, it's a lot going on.
A lot going on, man. Hey, I feel you. Hey, back. Good to have you back. Good to have you back in the building, man. It's good to hear your voice, brother. Hollywood Paul, man. Bring him in. How you doing?
Bro, I'm good, man. I'm just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Ducking and dodging the Rona as well, and ducking and dodging the tyranny, oppression of a systematic racist system that we're living in. But other than that, I'm blessed to see another day to fight this good fight.
Hey, brother, no doubt. We've been fighting that good fight all week, man. West Coast Jay, let them know where they can check us out.
Simple enough. You guys know you can find us at defylifepods.com for all of the Defy Life Network podcast content. And you can also find us on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, and everywhere else you get your podcast fix. Past that, you can always email us if you have questions, comments, concerns, you agree, disagree, got anything to say at all. Feel free to email us at unsupervised@godefylife.com.
No doubt. Let them know. I appreciate that. Hollywood Paul, man. Hey, let them know what our social media looking like.
And y'all know y'all can check us out at facebook.com/// Unsupervised spinoff, the podcast. You know what I'm saying? It's a spinoff. Check it out. Check us out, Defy Life. You know what I'm saying? They're all over the place on Facebook. Please like, comment, and share. You get a chance to win a free night's hotel stay. The hotels are still standing. But not for real. You can check us out on Facebook. please, I thank everybody that's been liking and interacting. Please keep talking about it. Like the content. We got some great stuff that we always keep sharing, keep coming out. So definitely we'll appreciate the support. But check us out at facebook.com, Unsupervised Spinoff Podcast.
No doubt, no doubt. Gentlemen, we are back. We are back. Man, we got a great show for y'all tonight, man. And we're gonna get into we're gonna dive right into it. But before we do, as always, people ask us the best way to support the network. So become a patron of Defy Life, help support and grow. That allows us to host events and continue our amazing work in the community and continue to bring y'all fire content. And we want to shout out two of our patrons for the week, like we always do. This week, we're going to shout out Chantel Lorick and Kelly Charmaine. We appreciate what you do. Thank you for being patrons of Defy Life Podcast Network, Defy Life family itself, Defy Life family of shows, man. We definitely appreciate it. We could not do what we do without you, and we will continue to bring you amazing and fire content. Having said that, without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's go, Jay, man. How was your week, brother?
Relatively tumultuous. There was a whole bunch of conversations where people got uncomfortable. It actually started out real all right, and then it wasn't all right real fast.
Right.
You know, it was a birthday weekend. I had a homeboy in town. I actually went out to a restaurant. Got to see what the phase 2 of North Carolina's actual eating in public situation was like.
Now, what does that look like, phase 2, eating in public?
So the restaurant we went to was downtown Winston, called X Carrot or X Carre. I'm not quite sure, and I never asked how to pronounce it, but it's a Mexican place, so it's pretty cool. A bunch of Latin food. We walked in, and they've got a cute little tequila bar off to the side, and there was already I think the old school saying is they was white girl wasted, because I walked in and immediately heard woo, and like got to see there was a for real couple of girls just standing there dancing. I was like, all right, well that's happening right there. Then they took us into the back room. It was me and a homeboy. Took us in the back, sat us at a booth in the corner. There was a empty table between us. There was another couple at a table over off to the side, an empty table, and then another group of I think 4 people. So we were the only people in that back room. Our waitress was all masked up, and so there was separation everywhere. Nobody was, unless you were with your party, you weren't anywhere close to within 6 to 10 feet.
Right. No doubt. No doubt.
Well, that was kind of cool.
That's dope. That's dope. Hollywood Paul, man, how was your week?
Oh man, my week was good, man. You know, I mean, I say that because I'm blessed to be here because a lot of people had a plan to wake up today, but definitely didn't wake up to see that. But anyway, it was good, man. I had to deal with a lot of crazy conversations I didn't expect. Good conversations, a lot of growth, personal growth. Dealt with some adversity. Colleague of mine passed from COVID-19. My girl's her uncle passed from COVID-19. It's all good, man. But other than that, it's part of life. Unfortunately, the life we're living in. Prayers out to my boy Scott's family. And prayers out to my lady's family as well, because I know that her grandmother's going through it. But anyway, other than that, man, it's been an interesting week. Been a lot of revealing situations, to say the least. So, I'm hanging on, and I'm on board to see what else is revealed in the near future.
No doubt, no doubt. Let's see, for me, man, good grief. My week is going, man. Like, I had a real hard time at work on Monday and Tuesday. In fact, Tuesday I had to take the afternoon off. Like I just was so like emotionally paralyzed and drained that I couldn't even bring myself to really care about anything. I couldn't bring myself to care about doing any work. I couldn't bring myself, like, none of it was important. And so I just decided to kind of just call it a day on Tuesday and just try to, refresh and get ready for another day. Luckily I was able to do that, but it's just like, and it's very interesting. So we're gonna get into a couple of those things as well. Because Hollywood Paul, you posted something on Facebook and it kind of asked the question like, is anybody else finding it really difficult to work, and concentrate on working? So one of the first subjects we're gonna tackle is professionally. We all know the times that we're in with, we've talked about it extensively on the show. So we're gonna touch on those things, but we're also gonna touch on it from a perspective of like how it's affecting us personally. And what I want to know from you guys is how is it affecting you professionally? Like how is it affecting you in that mask that we kind of have to show the world? So I know we're like, most of us are in the house, but we still have like Zoom meetings and we still have conference calls and we still have to work. West Coast Jay, what does that look like? What does that look like for you, man?
It is legit going through the motions. Like the Zoom meetings, I mean, I've got my camera off. Whenever questions are posed to me, they're pretty succinct answers, pretty one-word answery. I just and there's been thus far no mention of what's actually going on in the country. Thus far, at least in any of the meetings, and I think a lot of that is that I work in a super corporate place, and they're waiting to hear upper management say something first before they even address it. So it's been more along the lines of don't even look over there, act like we ain't tripping.
Now, would you like for them to say something?
The honest answer to that is no. I would like for upper management to put out something, and when they do,
no, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Would you like for your company to make a stand?
I would like for my company to say something at least to their employees. Because thus far they've been good at making sure the employees stay informed and stay. Now, what they did actually do is held a town hall meeting that was attended earlier today. So that would allow for people to, voice their opinions, get their thoughts out. We've had a couple of the Black ERG group has been sending out some, if you guys want to talk about it, we can talk. Hit me up, we can talk about it. That the leadership of that group's been doing a good job of just being
what does that mean for our listeners out there that don't know that acronym? What does that mean? What group is that?
Employee Resource Group.
So are they like kind of like they're like the Black Coalition for HR?
It's like what Congress has the Black Caucus, I believe is what they're called.
The Congressional Black Caucus.
The Congressional Black Caucus. So that's basically what this is.
Okay.
Is they're just they're the people that take care of Black History Month things, for example. When it's Black History Month, they make sure that there's information, that there's food, that there's presentations, that there's things that people all over the company have access to. There's one called, like, this month is Pride Month, so there's a group that's called Equal, and they are basically the same thing for all of the LGBTQ plus community. You know, there's a women's group. But this one, like the leadership from the black people, leadership from the black group has been reaching out, just basically saying, you know, if you're having a hard time, you know, I am too. Holla at me. Maybe we could talk ourselves through it. So that's been pretty nice. You know, but from my direct leadership, no, it's been more of a don't even look over there, act like we ain't tripping situation.
Understood. Hollywood Paul, how about you? How's it going for you at the job?
I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, just kind of going through the motions for the most part. You know, my leadership, they have sent an email thus far, basically saying, hey, they stand with, you know, the African American community in this trying time. There needs to be things that we need to work together with to be able to change our society and how African Americans are viewed and other minorities as well. So that was a conversation scrolling in a lot of the chats about what exactly we're doing besides sending an email. Of course, that's what a lot of banter was about. But other than that, I mean, just just going through the motions, man. I mean, you know, I just find it really hard to not think about what's happening as I'm talking to someone about something very, very frivolous in the grand scheme of things. And of course, certain things that I help people with healthcare and stuff is important as well. But in the grand scheme, the conversation that we're having is not, because we're not health insurance. We don't do anything to keep you alive, operate on you. And then the dealing with the entitlement of a lot of people on a day-to-day basis of the bubble that they live in. It's almost like just a word one my boy West Coast likes to use. It's infuriating. You know what I mean? It's baffling to see how many people just don't have a fucking clue, and it's draining. So I had to take some time as well this week. I really did. I just had to step away from not only social media, just from dealing with the everyday regular shit. You know what I'm saying? That I mean, I'm not saying I'm mad at every white person, but it's hard to deal with white people right now. I mean, just being honest with you.
Well, I'm definitely not. I'm definitely, because look, I can look in the streets and see. So I'm not mad at every white. Like black people are not mad at every white person. Black people are upset with racist white people.
Right.
I don't have a problem in the world with anyone that is able to see my color and my experiences and understand that experience and that pain and that reality is different from yours. I don't have a problem with that. I encourage that. I need that. If you just look at it as, you know, so I don't, because dude, in a lot of cities, it's like Portland. I've been to Portland several times. There might be seven black people in the whole city of Portland. I mean, of course, I'm being facetious, but there's not. It might be like 1.3% black, if memory serves me correctly. But nonetheless, thousands of people are in the streets in Portland protesting. So it's not a like. So I'm not. I don't want to just say. I don't just want to carve out that part, because, like I've been saying, like we've been saying, in order for there to really be a change, it's gonna have to be more than us just saying. More than us, meaning black people. It's going to need to be more than us just saying there needs to be change. If there's one thing that's come out of this crazy string of violence that people are noticing, is that lots and lots of people are. I've never seen anything like 50 states. There's never been protests in 50 states in cities all across the country for the same thing at the same time.
All around the world. Let's call it what it is.
And I was just about to include around the world.
So if there's one thing that's come out of this is the solidarity of like there is a unified front against this. And yeah, it's a whole lot of knuckleheads out there that's trying to beat back the movement and cast shadows on, different factors of people taking advantage of the protests, like rioters and looters and things like that, who are not a part of that. Those people are not a part of our movement. Looters are looting. Looters are not protesting. So don't get those two things confused. Don't buy into that right-wing media notion that like, oh, I can't pay attention to this movement or I can't take it seriously because the protesters are out there looting and the protesters are out there rioting. Well, that's not the case. The protesters are out there protesting, and then there are looters out there looting in this same scenario.
And then there's even protesters trying to stop the looters, but the media isn't covering that.
Well, because they don't. That's not a part of. That's not a part of their narrative. It's not a part of the narrative to say, we don't believe that, or we have evidence that there's, this extremist group and that extremist group, and they're the one. Like that's not a. That stuff hasn't come out yet. So today we saw a couple of things today. We saw, because I don't want to trivialize this in the mind. I keep having to have this conversation with people. I don't want to trivialize this in the minds of Americans and listeners. This is more than just about George Floyd. Today was the George Floyd Memorial, but today was also the start of the Ahmaud Arbery, the McMichaels, and Mr. Bryant's. Today was their preliminary trial. And in that trial, in that preliminary hearing, we learned that Ahmaud Arbery was also hit by Mr. Bryant's truck. He didn't run him over, but he hit him with his truck. And that the first shot was a center mass chest shot from that shotgun. And there was no tussle at the time. Like the tussle kind of happened as Ahmaud Arbery realized he was about to be shot. So, and then we also learned that over Ahmaud Arbery's dying body, the shooter, I can't remember if it was the younger McMichael, basically he's called him a fucking nigger, like boom, 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 let's stand over his body, fucking nigger, so there are conversations.
It's a hate crime.
And to me, that makes it a hate crime. And
by
that
definition.
Right, absolutely. And so, and I will say this, because I listened to the preliminary hearing, they've got a good defense lawyer. He is already
Texas, right?
trying. They're in Georgia. He's already trying to lay the groundwork for a stand your ground. Self-defense type of defense.
I thought stand your ground only extended to the castle.
I don't know. Remember the guy?
Not just public domain when you chase them down. You're no longer standing your ground.
No,
I thought that was how they got Trayvon Martin's guy.
Remember the gas station guy that like blew the black guy away in front of the gas station? He's like he was standing my ground. Because he thought.
That was. I get that. I don't agree, but I get why they use that argument due to the fact of if someone's involved with you, no matter where you are, standing your ground in a sense is used as self-defense. But this was an unarmed man running away from you. You boxed him in, trapped him in, and then executed him. What ground were you standing? And you claimed from the beginning you just wanted to ask him some questions and get the police out. You thought he might be breaking the home. What? I don't understand.
Hey,
how they're saying your ground?
I'm telling you what they're laying the groundwork to do. I'm not saying that it's true. I'm saying you could tell by the defense line of questioning that they're going to lean heavy into either stand your ground or self-defense type of statutes. So the conversation, it is going to be interesting. I'm going to be glued to that hearing.
Yeah.
So while we've got all this George Floyd stuff going on. We've got all this Ahmed Aubrey stuff going on as well. And there are now people that want Breonna Taylor's, those cops in that situation, investigated and brought up on some sort of charges. And here's what I can tell you. The state of New Jersey legislation has introduced some bill that is going to do some things to sweep their criminal justice system. The city of Charlotte, the chief of police has said we're about to investigate things that we can do to improve upon those type of scenarios, things that you can and can't do, because they know for one, and we're going to get into this when we talk about the petty party politics, but they know they're not going to get any leadership from Washington. So governors and mayors and police chiefs are going to have to do this on their own, which is very, very, very sad.
But at the same rate, this is the power that they have been vested, that they could have been used to start setting the groundwork for something that can pick up federally. So in a way, it's a good thing that the communication has been started. Now, we got to see that through to the end to make sure that they're having the right kinds of communication. Like,
absolutely.
Just as the people, make sure you call in to your congressman, write in to your representatives. Like, you have that opportunity, that voice. Like, they have to be overwhelmed with it.
Yep,
I agree.
Sean, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Sean
Payton?
Sean Payton is his name, correct. I was thinking of all the different Seans in my head. But Sean Payton keeps saying the words 22 weeks. In 22 weeks, we'll be able to actually exercise this change. Because in 22 weeks, we'll get to vote. And it's not the president. I mean, president is one thing. But the local level stuff, that's going to be the most important. Local and state level stuff.
Absolutely. People, local and state level government affects your life every single day, period. I was having a conversation with my nephew, and he said, I don't like Biden or Trump, so I'm sitting this election out. We had a full-fledged fucking argument. I was immediately furious. You can't care about this issue and then say you're going to sit out the fucking election.
Because you're not going to sit out on living life, motherfucker.
No,
right.
I went all the way in on it. So hopefully,
right. I'm glad you did.
Hopefully, but these are conversations that we need to have. These are conversations that we need to have all across America.
Correct.
And speaking of conversations that people are having all across America, I want to play something for you guys. It's a conversation that a young girl is having with her parents, and because she just can't get with what's happening out there. And I guess they're having a disagreement, but I found it interesting. And when people ask me, Gerald, how do I help? How do I help? I say open dialogue. I don't care what your opinion is on this matter. I don't care if you have a stance, if you have a side, if you do have a side, if you don't have a stance. Open the dialogue and challenge people's way of thinking, even if the thing that you're challenging is my way of thinking. I don't care about that. I just want to have an open dialogue so you can stop pretending like it doesn't fucking exist.
Now, the key word in that is dialogue, which means you have to listen as well.
Absolutely.
You don't just get to spout your opinion and then wait for your turn to talk.
Absolutely.
Gotta hear both. You have to be able to hear what someone else is saying to understand them.
The most important part of communication is listening.
Right. And I always like to point out with dialogue, if you think about a movie and a character speaks, the next line that is spoken by another character is affected by the line that was just delivered. I want to say that again. The next line that is spoken is affected by the line that was just delivered, meaning whatever that character may have been thinking, his thinking has changed based on the dialogue that is being delivered. Because why? They're listening. And then to act, you have to react to what you're hearing. So with open dialogue, please go back and forth. Take in, argue your points, but just listen to one another.
Absolutely. Now, having said that and listened to that, we're gonna listen in on the conversation. that what his family is sharing. Now, we have posted this on the Unsupervised, the Spinoff Podcast Facebook page, so feel free to go check it out, comment, share it, let us know what you think. But I'm going to play it now. So give it a second. Here it comes.
They can be warped.
Actually, no, shut up.
No.
Can you shut your mouth for a minute?
No.
Because I actually work in the ghetto. I see the people.
Do you know why they're in that
I
position?
see these people.
Do you understand the systematic and historical reason for why they're in that position?
They don't care. All they want to do is be ghetto.
No.
Yes, there's
No.
some that don't, and there's good people.
No.
Most of them just want to suck off the system or do something bad like drugs or gangs. And that's all they
They have been oppressed. They have not been given the same opportunities you have had.
They do, and there's plenty of black people.
No, they don't, Dad. And you not recognizing that as an issue is the reason why it's still continuing today.
I see them all over. There's all kinds of successful people that are of color. It doesn't matter what color, brown, white.
But it's a lot harder for them to get to that
It
position.
doesn't matter. When they do, they're fine. But there's always filthy animals. And that
You're calling people of color black animals. You're calling them animals. Are you kidding me? That's not okay. No matter what, that's not okay. No matter what, it's not okay. Racism is not okay. Why do you think that racism is okay? All right.
Oh, that's mine.
Haley, I'm gonna look at. No, I'm looking at statistics right now.
Your statistics can be warped. Statistics can be warped. You want me to show you videos? Do you want me to show you videos of cops? I will do it.
Statistics wrong?
Because they can be warped. I'm not giving statistics right now. They can be warped. Personal experiences can't.
No, because this is actually putting it into play.
Do I need to show you a bunch of videos of cops attacking protesters, peaceful protesters?
Listen to this. This is the number.
You mean I'm informed and educated?
You're not though.
Yes, I am.
One-sided informed.
Mom, I was watching political stuff and you said to turn that off because you don't want to hear about it. That means that I am educated on it and you are not.
I'm sick of hearing it.
The fact that you can have that ignorance for the majority is bliss.
Okay.
Ignorance for the minority
I'm
is
looking at statistics
destruction.
that are wrong. This is just pure wrong information out there.
Just give me the statistic.
In 2017, 457 white people were shot to death by the police in the United States.
Okay.
223 were black.
76% of the population is white. 13% is black.
I understand that.
If they were being killed at the exact same rate by police officers, the rate of black people being killed would be 8.9. But it's not. It's 24%. The rate of white people being killed should be about where it is. So they're being killed at a higher rate. There's more white people, meaning that the amount of people killed by cops who are white would be higher.
The reaction of the person. I'm not saying
Because
it's.
they're
I'm not
tired.
saying it's
They're tired
right.
of being treated
I'm
that
not
way.
saying it's right.
Good.
But if they started teaching them that this is the world that we live in, you don't want to be killed. Why do you think your friend's father taught him that?
So that his black son doesn't end up dead like Tamir Rice.
Because he doesn't want him to grow up with a chip on his shoulder that
He doesn't
no
want his
police
black son to end up dead.
Exactly.
That's not okay. Why do you think that's okay?
Because
Why is this something that you're okay with? Why is that a reality that you're okay with?
I'm okay with it.
But you are.
No, I'm not. I'm
So
saying.
stand against it. So stand against it. If you're not okay with it, so stand
You wanna know
against
when I'll
it.
stand against it? When the black people in the ghetto stop carrying an illegal weapon. When the black people in the ghetto stop murdering each other.
I'll start caring about cops when they stop killing black people.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That was that.
And at
that
the end
was,
of the video, the mother retorts, "I'll start caring about black people when they stop killing cops." And that's how intelligent her parents are, ladies and gentlemen. That's not only a base of her. Just see how her parents are. That's how a lot of people are in the world. That's how Drew Brees is, ladies and gentlemen. Meaning cognitive dissonance.
Hold on. So a couple of things jumped out to me in this video because I tried to, so for one, I thought immediately about the clip of President Trump saying, "Black people, what do you have to lose if you vote for me? You're stuck in your ghettos. No one's doing anything for you. You don't have jobs." And I'm thinking, like, I'm black. I don't live in the fucking ghetto, and I got a job, and the police can blow my fucking head off at any time. So it's this perception of the first thing that stuck out to me is there's a perception of black people that we all live in the ghetto and we all want to not work and live off the system.
We all join gangs and carry illegal weapons.
Right. So, Mom, I can tell you that's not a reality. That's not a reality for a lot of us. That we want to join gangs and live in the ghetto. That's far from the reality of lots and lots and lots and lots of black Americans. But none of us are immune to the fierce brutality that the police put us through whenever we encounter them. West Coast Jay, what are your thoughts, man?
A couple of things stood out to me. My favorite were the statistics. When the little girl was like, "No, like statistics can be warped." She was like, "Are you just gonna let me read the statistics? Read the statistics, Mom."
Right, let me deal with this.
Just
shit,
read the
man.
statistics.
Let me go ahead and bust your bubble.
457 white people were shot. And then 223 black people. She was like, okay, right there. 76% of the people in this country are white. So 13% are black. Now, at this rate, 24% of the people that have been killed have been black. Shouldn't that number be closer to 13? Shouldn't that number be closer to
8?
So that was the part. She said 8. She did.
8.9.
But when you look at the full numbers, it was 457 white. This was 2017. 457 white, 223 black. When you get to Latinos, is where it gets interesting. 179 Latinos. There are 18% of the population right now is Latino. 13% is black. 223 and 179. That makes almost, what is that number exactly? 223, 179. Am I looking at 400?
That's more than half. That means more than half police and we're just talking about shootings.
Just shootings.
Because this wasn't even a shooting. Like, cops kill us other than just shooting us.
Correct.
Like,
this is just shootings.
Sometimes they strangle us to
choke
death.
you out.
Sometimes they choke us to
knee on your neck.
death. Yeah.
So
sometimes
let's move
they
on.
tase us to death and we end up dying. Sometimes we don't even know how we died.
Sometimes they poison them.
There was
They might hang
old
you.
Richard Pryor bit where he was like, police got a chokehold that's killing niggas. They got a chokehold. They just up. Guess we broke them. Now, this year, 2020, the stats as of right now, 42 white have been murdered by police. 31 black, 13 Latino. That makes 44. So if she's looking at the same stats for this year already, in June, more minorities have been killed than whites.
Facts. And we've been in the fucking house all year.
We've been in the house for
at least since the beginning of March.
Since the beginning of March, and it's right now the beginning of June. So what are we looking at? 3 months of in the house. So
Even
the statistics were the part.
Stay home.
The statistics were the
forcing people to stay home.
Right.
White people are still less likely to be shot by cops than black people are. They're all forced to stay home.
You know what my two favorite parts of that video were? It wasn't even the stats or anything like that. It was when her dad was like, well, the ones, once they get to that point, they're fine. And then, but we're talking about these animals, like the rest,
and she cut him off right there.
Once you can make money and get status, you're no longer a savage. You're no longer a Neanderthal.
Right at the word animals. She stopped him right there.
when you see black people that hasn't, you see them as animals. And then she checked them. And then my second favorite part was her simply asking her mom, "That's not okay. Why do you think that's okay?"
Yep.
Why did it? That shit was so powerful to me because these are the questions.
Like, why are you justifying this so much?
Right.
You know?
And I know she was no older. She was no older than 16 or 17. But the way she, you guys got to go check out the video. The way she stood her ground and defended what she believed in.
Mm-hmm.
And these are her parents.
And she's
so these
still
are the
adjusted.
these are the things that they would have taught her.
Yep.
These are the things they probably did teach
they
her.
have tried to teach her.
Right.
And this young lady had the cognitive ability to either get herself surrounded by open-minded individuals, and I want to add, being a white child and her father making a good living and her parents having the chip on their shoulders, ironically, that they said the black father didn't want his kid to have. Her, in her position, has a better opportunity to gain a better education where schools are well-funded and they have current textbooks and better textbooks and teachers that aren't just there going through the motions. So we could see that not only is her education teaching her a great value of what's going on in this world, her surroundings aren't being just polluted by this toxic way of thinking that her parents obviously have adapted from our society and obviously their parents.
Now, another thing that got me was the level of education with which she spoke. She sat, she let them finish whatever whack-ass point they were making, and then she adjusted to what they were saying, much like you were just saying about dialogue. She didn't just wait for her turn to speak.
Right.
Like
she
they
didn't
were.
Give them a sermon.
Right, like they were.
Right.
They were just waiting to spit their talking points. And she caught their talking points and threw the mugs back.
Like, I see your point, I raise you two more.
Right.
No doubt.
So
it was very powerful.
Yeah, that was a beautiful dialogue.
It was a beautiful dialogue. And I'll say this, as a man of color, I'm not upset by that conversation. I would have been more upset had the conversation not happened at all. I am encouraged by that conversation. She may bring her parents to the light.
She
might be able to pull it
and
off.
I also want to add that to a lot of people who may have this stance, I want you to understand, who may listen to this just to talk shit about us, because there's three black men running their own show. I want you to know that no one chooses to be black. No one chooses to live in the ghetto. No one chooses to have a certain stigma on them, okay? We don't choose that. So whatever you have in your mind about black people, please understand it is not a choice that we have elected to go into our endeavors in life. It is something that you have chosen to label us with.
Deep.
It is something you have chosen for us to live to deny us loans. It is something you have chosen for lack of education and funding.
And she was about to go into how we got into the ghetto. If we're in the ghetto,
she was about to go into how we got to the ghetto.
There is a reason why we got into the. We don't have time to go over all this today, but there's a reason why we got into the ghetto. And I'll say this: this research is out there. This is just what we're saying. So you can go research this stuff. You can go very easily read this stuff.
Dude, there have been organizations that put out 4 to 5 minute cartoon videos if you just like pictures and shit. If you don't want to read, okay, It's out there.
It's out, but it's out there. There's ignorance, and then there's what I call willful. There's what I call willful and purposeful ignorance. You don't have to be ignorant to this. Go out there. There's a reason why people of color that are in the ghettos. There's a reason why they're there. And so I would love, and we're gonna get into that. But we don't have time to get into that right now. But those are subjects that we're gonna get into, and we're gonna We're going to parse through all that stuff. We really are. But the important thing to remember here is to have a dialogue and to have a conversation. Sit around your kitchen table and address this. Talk this out with your family, with your friends, with your kids, with your parents, like, and see and challenge those ideals. So, having said that, we're going to step away for just a moment. We're going to pay a couple bills, and then we'll be right back for some more. Stay tuned. West Coast J, give us something.
You know it.
Welcome to the Defy Life podcast. Join JR, Thomas, and Al as they take on topics in sports, politics, current events, family, and more. Insightful, hilarious, always unique. New episode every Wednesday. Powered by the Defy Life Podcast Network. Listen at DefyLifePods.com and everywhere else your favorite podcasts are available. If you're not rocking with Defy Life, what's your life about?
Welcome back to Unsupervised, the Spinoff episode 18. Y'all go ahead and check out the Defy Life podcast where JR, Al, and Pooh, just like the commercial said, they're going to give you some interesting insights. They look at things a little bit differently than we do. They all married and shit. They extra supervised and shit. So they look at things a little different than we do.
No doubt. Hey,
they hold it down.
Yeah, shout out to the fellas, man. We miss our brothers over there on the flagship, man, over at Defy Life.
Real talk.
But welcome back, man. Episode 18. 2 more episodes. We're gonna be on episode 20.
Hey, bro, our episodes is old enough to vote.
We didn't even do this though. Right quick. You know what I'm saying? Right quick. Just drop, but it's important. We got a shout out to a birthday. You know what I'm saying? It's to the man that created this shit, that got the whole platform going. You know what I mean? My man JR, happy birthday to you. I know it's happy belated. Birthday just passed. One of them crazy Geminis. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to do that because, you know, he's part of the Defy Life family. So we gotta make sure we pay homage. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, man. No doubt. Happy birthday, Jay. You know,
it was crazy.
God.
I ran into him at the gas station. Like the day after his birthday, and I had never, like, me and his wife see each other in passing, right? We don't never really speak, you know. I don't got no reason to speak to her, you know what I'm saying? Like, so no offense or nothing, but you know, but so I she was in the store standing behind me. And I kept looking at her like, yo, like, you know how you think you know somebody? I'm like, yo, do I know you? I'm just thinking that as I'm looking at her, and she don't say shit. So I get outside because I'm parked on the other side of the store. So I get outside and I whip around. I see this nigga. I'm like, nigga. He was like, nigga. Like, his wife walks out. She was like, yo, I thought that was you. I ain't want to say nothing, though, because I ain't want you to cuss me out. I'm like, damn. She was, you know what I'm saying? Like, niggas must be rude as fuck around these parts. But the shit was crazy, you know what I'm saying? I got to see him chop it up for a little bit. You know, he was doing real good. He told us we're definitely doing well. He loves the show. You know, he listens to everything. So I definitely want to shout him out. So hopefully this make him smile and relive whatever birthday memories he had on that day.
No doubt. I know he had a big ass steak, like a T-bone steak, cheese, eggs, and which is great, just like the big song. Yeah. We back, man. Your boy Money, West Coast J, Hollywood Paul, episode 18, Unsupervised Spinoff podcast. Get out there and check out our gear, which should be an issue rectified on the gear website. It should definitely be there if you go check it out by the time you hear this show. And if it's not, just give it a couple days. It'll definitely be there. We're back. I know last week we was a little off format, and we're back on format today, at least for the most part. We have a wacky stat of the week this week. West Coast J, man. Why don't you bring it in?
Wacky stat of the week. brought to you by our current state of the nation. Michael Vick served more time in jail for killing a dog, 548 days, for killing a dog than all of the cops combined that have killed the last 493 unarmed black men. Let that sink in. Like, we ain't even really got commentary about that. Just let that sink in. And with that said, are we on to petty party politics?
I don't even know how to. Man, that's deep.
Yeah, man.
That's
A
deep.
dog.
A dog.
Hopefully,
493 human men's and a dog.
Hopefully that changes. Hopefully that changes, and we see sweeping reforms. So
22 weeks.
Let's go back and try it again. We are.
I want to say something real quick.
Okay.
You guys know that in Fayetteville they were protesting with J. Cole and a couple other celebrities out there trying to burn down the market house. This was like a slave trading post. The thing about it is, I can remember being in school and they talked about that post and would like teach us lessons and shit, and how it was a point in history where they started, making it like legal for a black man to vote and consider his vote like, what was it, 1/5 or some shit like that. And I never understood, really, I never grasped what that meant until this old white man that worked at my school, I think he was like one of those administrators they bring in for like security and shit. He said, "Yep, that's less than a pig. That's less than a hog. When you bring him up to slaughter. That's how little he's worth." And for you to read that stat just now, and to think about our current state where we're at, how the people are so distracted, and of course, people are in love with their animals. We already did a show about that. That really means we mean literally less than a fucking dog.
Well, I think, yeah. And of course, part of that is just the way the laws are set up. Like, it's hard to prosecute police for quote unquote what the law deems them to be doing their job. They have wide sweeping.
I mean, I hear you. I know they
interpretation
protect
power.
themselves. They protect themselves. I get that. You can make the justifications for it, but you're still saying a lot.
Well, I'm not making a justification. I'm telling you the facts about why this is a thing. Like, they have wide latitude in their ability to interpret the immediate situation. They also have lots of laws that protect them from being able to be sued in criminal suits and all sorts of accountability issues that are not, like, those laws don't exist on the books. So when I say pass these reforms, these are the reforms I'm talking about. I'm talking about accountability reforms, civil reforms, lawsuit reforms, taking away some of their ability to have this wide latitude on how they assess scenarios and danger, and the ability to, like, their discretion to say, I believe this person's a suspect, or something like that, if that makes sense. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying these are the reasons why they are able to get away with things the way they are. Those are the things that have to be changed, and they're going to have to be legislated out of, like, off the books. Because right now there's just a bunch of police manuals, and there's not really a lot of laws that dictate how police have to behave, if that makes sense.
Yep. And then 22
well,
weeks,
you
you'll be
guys
able
are
to change your
civil
lawmakers.
show. I'm the motherfucker that's about to load up and go shoot down and burn down every fucking thing like Bane did and hold my own motherfucking trials. How about that shit?
No doubt.
All right? Okay, now that's just a little plot to a movie I'm working on. Y'all. It's called No Justice, No Peace. That's coming soon. I'm working on that right now, pinning that one. But anyway, moving on.
No doubt. Hey, what's next? Petty party politics. So, oh my goodness. I don't have a lot for this. Just one thing that I wanted to say. So this week, your president dude, man. When I tell you this dude.
Wait. What'd you call him though? What'd you call him?
The president dude.
The president dude. The dude. The fucking dude.
The president dude.
The dude. The dude.
Your
fucking
president
dude.
Let me tell you something. So he issued a law and order, like 4 or 5 minute speech. Him being the law and order president, we gotta have law and order. No more violence in the streets. Now he didn't mention I don't want to say he didn't mention. He barely mentioned anything about why people are in the streets. He talked about is people being in the streets got to squat. He was like, you got to dominate the protesters. You got to dominate. You got to dominate the space. It's like he's talking about a war zone. Then he has this idea that if the governors don't dominate the space, I'm going to call in the U.S. military and I'm going to help them out and do it for them immediately. Well, apparently he hasn't read a lot. Well, we already know he hasn't read the Constitution, but you can't have U.S. troops in the streets of U.S. cities.
Yo, quick.
It's unconstitutional.
So what if he did that? What if he did that?
Today is June 4th. June 4th, 1989, in Tiananmen Square, the Chinese government sent a military in to stop a peaceful protest, and the military opened fire on the crowd. 21 years ago today.
That is a thing. That is a thing. But that's not here. Here it is fiercely unconstitutional. So he tried to invoke some law that they wrote in like 1807 or something, the insurrection law. And I think Ulysses S. Grant used to also use it after the Civil War during Reconstruction to like the KKK was so bad they were just like burning and shooting, killing, hanging all types of people. He would actually have to send the U.S. military in to stop these things from happening. And so the law hasn't been used since then. And then Congress passed another law in like the 1870s to even prevent the president from having the power to do that, because a lot of people in the South won seats, so they changed the law to prevent presidents from being able to send troops where they wanted to in the country. So now you have to actually have a congressional act to send troops on U.S. soil unless these certain emergency laws are enacted. So we try to sue the president. He tried to enact this emergency law, which there's been a lot of pushback from his own administration. But I said all that to say, so they go out. Now, once again, Washington, D.C. is not a state. So some jurisdictions, like this still applies in D.C., but not the way it would to a state. He cannot call federal troops into a state. He can into D.C. because D.C. is not a state. So anyway, he had federal troops in D.C., federal military police, and he wanted to take a photo on the grounds of, I think it was St. Bonaventure, St. something church. St. John's Church. So the protesters that were in the park across the street demonstrating peacefully, he had the troops and the military police clear them out, and he walked across the street to take his picture with his Bible in his hand. Now, he didn't say anything. He didn't talk to the people in the church. He didn't give a speech on the step of the church. He didn't have anybody pray for him. He didn't pray for anybody. He didn't have any bishops or anything from the church there. He just took a picture with his all-white administration.
Right, like a Bond villain. Like he just showed up, like the Klan would, ran y'all out of town, and took pictures of proof we were here. And this is what we did.
He didn't run them out of town either. He just tear gassed and fired rubber bullets at the protesters in front of the White House.
Right, though. He did,
right there, though. Just so he could walk 2 blocks to that place right there, hold up a Bible and take a picture, and then tweet the words "law and order" with hella exclamation points.
He flexed on the right. That was him flexing on the American public. Like, I don't know if anybody else picked up on that, but I did.
So my favorite part about the whole thing was after he tweets "law and order" hella exclamation points. Comedians are the greatest right now. The response from Brian Redband was, "Cool, but what other shows you watching?" Like, that's what you're doing? This is what you're on. All right. What else you got on TV? I bet you're watching The Voice.
Well, so since then, so Hollywood is interesting that you said that, because it's not like he hasn't had repercussions from that. His Undersecretary of Defense has resigned.
Fuck this shit. I'm out of here. I'm not going to prison with you, motherfucker.
What was his name? James N. Miller.
Right.
He resigned on some, like, I've never seen anything like this. This is a complete abuse of power. He's in his letter of resignation. He's asking the Defense Secretary Mark Esper to also resign. The United States Chief of Staff also had to come out. Like, so everybody's basically since then come out and been like, I didn't support that. I didn't even know that's what was happening. So rather than resign, at least at this point, they are pretending that they didn't know what was happening, because once again, the military they're apolitical. They can't really take a political stance. They just have to follow orders. And so they should not have,
they deem those orders to be unethical.
Correct. And then in which case that they resign. So because they still have to follow someone still has to follow the order. You can't coup like that.
No. I mean, not necessarily that. Here's what would happen if in case the president currently is sitting declares martial law. It goes through the highest ranked general on down.
The chief of staff.
Now, if the highest ranked general refuses the order, that order is not carried out, and he is jailed. Now, the next one in line would have to be giving new orders.
He will be court-martialed.
Yeah,
he will be court-martialed.
But here's my thing: the order can continue to be refused by the next one, and the next one, and the next one. How many people are in jail before?
Here's what I'm saying:
the president is called into question, and then this thing is just blocked by Congress altogether, and they reel back his power. Like, how many generals would it take for that to happen? Seriously.
I think we've already seen that the Congress try to reel back his power, and the Senate is not here for it. They're not going to let it happen. The president knows the president knows his Senate isn't going to stand against him for anything that he does. So eventually he's going to find himself a general that follows those orders, is what I'm saying. So
I do understand that, and that is the unfortunate truth.
The order cannot be refused. It can.
Well, it can, but there is someone who will. There's always a price someone's gonna bite. Someone's always got something that will entice him to do it, whether it's just his sheer belief that he's doing the right thing. So I get that.
I don't want to use the word refuse. So, because by definition, they wouldn't refuse the order; they would just resign. Does that make sense? Like, they're not going to say.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but you're talking to a guy that's grown up in the military, and this is not the first time I posed this question. This is not the first time I posed this question to someone that was a civilian. I posed this question. Well, he grew up in the military setting. Excuse me.
Okay.
I have been sipping tonight, audience, but my dad's a lifer. You know what I'm saying? Like, my community I grew up in is a military community. Like, everyone that lives on my father's street served in the military. Like, every last person. Like,
so you know that So you know that via refusal, like you just resign.
You will be jailed. Well,
you will be court-martialed.
Well, the thing is, here's the thing. Robert, you say resign. That defines what's the word? A voluntary. That when you volunteer to do something, like to refuse an order, you will be discharged. You will be court-martialed. You will be jailed first.
Correct.
Then you will be kicked out the military.
Correct.
Now, and now when you get to a certain rank, there are certain people ain't going to jail. Now, you ain't going to be in the military no more if you do refuse an order, and they will accept your resignation, meaning they will tell you to resign. Basically, they will tell you to quit so that you can still retain your benefits, because that's a political move at that point. But you can indeed refuse an order. It happens all the time. People, right. There's people that are in war that refuses orders to shoot civilians when they raid houses. Those people are court-martialed, and then they have a trial, and then the JAG department defends them and prosecutes them. And based on those findings, they're either found innocent or guilty. Now, if you're found innocent, then you may be part of your innocence may be forced to resign, or you'll be discharged, or you can continue your career in the military. It just depends on why you refuse that order. So if you're ordering people to shoot on the American public, or you're ordering martial law where it's deemed unconstitutional, that's where the question lies as to the individual of the military, the mindset to know this is not right.
Correct, because
and
by law,
take for him for something else to happen.
By law, that individual still has to follow that order, or there still has to be consequences.
Well, not by law; it's by their oath they took. Because there's not a law that when you take an oath in the military to defend the Constitution, that if you personally deem that this is not ethical, you are not breaking the law.
I mean, military bylaws.
Right.
They have their own set of laws. Yes, they do.
That does not.
I don't mean civilian laws.
Sir.
They have their own set of.
No, sir. Military. No, what you're speaking does not supersede our rights in the military. Though that Constitution that binds us all, it binds us all.
So what you're saying is
volunteer. It's a volunteer military money. So once you volunteer to join the military, just like you volunteer to follow any order.
Hold on. Here's my question. If the president gives you a law to shoot a civilian in the head and you refuse that order, will you not be arrested?
Based on how the military operates, they will, like I've said, they will court-martial you. That means you're going to be arrested and detained because you did not follow a direct order from the commander-in-chief, because you did not deem it ethical.
Correct. And then there will have to be a team of lawyers that fight that out in military court, right?
Correct.
So that's the military version of their bylaws. That's all I'm saying. Now,
and guess what? He can get a civilian lawyer to protect him based on the grounds of the Constitution.
I agree.
In that military court. And they can free him and he will walk out.
Now, politically, there's no executively, there's no penalty for the president if he gives that order. Politically,
that's the answer I was looking for.
No, there's no penalty the president can get for giving orders that are in the gray area. The only thing that they can do
the president can't get called into pro court.
No, they can only invoke the 25th Amendment, which removes the president, which the president's cabinet decides to remove him from power for being a fucking maniac, for being unable to fulfill his oath of office.
So what you're saying is that's an internal thing that we have to do, like the world,
no, not we. Only the administration can do that. Only Mike Pence and them can do that.
Really?
That's correct.
So the Supreme Court can't do it?
No.
Congress can't do it? Senate? No one.
Congress' weapon to remove the president is impeachment.
And the World Court could only do it basically if they went to war with us, basically.
They
Because he would have to volunteer to go to court and volunteer to play the game.
It would have to be a forceful removal.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So the president can order the military to do anything he wants.
Right.
And the only people that can really stop him is his own administration by invoking the 25th Amendment.
The 25th Amendment literally states that if a president becomes unable to do their job, the vice president becomes the president.
So that's what they do in all the movies when the president is like in a coma and all that stuff, and then you read the next guy in.
That's more so of a that's a little bit different. The president's not actually physically able to perform his duties. The 25th Amendment basically says if the president's a fucking maniac and he's ordering things that are unconstitutional, he's unstable, he's alive, he's here, he's present, nothing's wrong with him. He's just doing things that are against the Constitution. He's abusing his power.
Right.
Then his administration has the ability to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove him from power. And Congress has that same ability via the impeachment process.
Interesting. I wonder what would be the process if the administration did it.
Well, Mike Pence would essentially.
I don't think that's ever happened. What would they just like arrest him? Would they take him to court? Like what? What the fuck would they do?
Now, so
the Watergate scandal in the 70s saw the application of these procedures. First, when Gerald Ford replaced Spiro Agnew as vice president. Then, when he replaced Richard Nixon as president.
Oh, wow. Because he was, in fact, abusing his power.
At which point, Nelson Rockefeller filled the vice presidency vacancy that was left by Spiro Agnew being gone.
Wow.
Yeah, so there are times in history where it's happened. Not a lot, though, but...
Right.
Yeah, so...
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for sharing that. And thanks for putting up with me, listeners, and money. I appreciate you. Yeah, because I want to get to it, man. You were feeding me so much information, so I had to egg you on.
No, I got you. So
that's dope, though. It's just interesting to know because, like you're saying, like you can't just. So if he gives that order, someone's going to follow it, right?
Someone's going to follow it.
We're going to be in martial law now.
Not exactly.
I'm not sure that I can rely on Mike Pence and his administration to be strong enough to
not even close
to do what they need to do. So I can't say dude, they literally tear gassed and firebombed and rubber bulleted a crowd of peaceful people.
That were just
they actually
in front
rubber
of the
bullets.
White House.
I've got rubber bullets can kill you. They shot one girl right between the eyes.
Right. I want to ask a question to both of you. If the protests currently where they are, if during the protest something happens to where gunfire exchanges, and that erupts across the nation, and is based on race, what do you think will become of the United States? I just want to ask that hypothetical right quick before we move on. I'm really interested to know. I'm the creative side of the show, so
Repeat your
okay, so right now, the protests where there are, we know where we're protesting about. We know what sides there are. I want you all to take that into account, right? We got the left wing, the right wing, the Republicans, Democrats, the Nazis, the neo-Nazis, the KKK, the black people. We got the Latinos. We got everybody else that's just mixed in the melting pot, the Asians, all that shit. We got the Trump supporters. We got the people that want justice for black people, the white people alike. And then during these protests currently, gunfire starts to be exchanged between protesters and opposers of the protests. Not cops, but just opposers. Of course, cops will be involved at that point with gunfire being exchanged, but that then extends out to the other cities and nationwide to where the protests are happening. Gunfire. What do you think at that point would happen? Like hypothetically, that
happens,
just fuck off.
if it happens nationwide, then the president will have immense power to send troops in, because at that point it would be an insurrection, and he would have the power to send in troops.
Okay, and that makes sense. And I know Jason's going to say the same thing. So now let's bring it to this: if it happens in Georgia,
then that would still be
what happened.
That would still be a matter for the Georgia governor to decide if he wants to send in the Georgia National Guard. The president cannot send troops into a state without the express permission of that state's governor.
The reason why I asked that is because we talked on this show about a bunch of people with guns that ran up on a governor. Did we not?
We did.
So that governor was overrun. Did the National Guard not come in and help him?
If the governor was overrun?
He was.
She was not. She had the National Police in front of her. The National Guard was in between her and the protesters.
And the guys with the guns.
Yep. Those are the guys with the guns in that case.
Yeah,
that was in the house.
Correct.
Yeah.
The
National Guard was in the house with her.
Yeah,
the only difference was there was no gunshots.
Correct.
There were no gunshots.
Gotcha.
But that's not a fight. Now, had they opened fire, that's not a fight that they would have been able to win.
Of course not.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I know they think they some bad looting, shooting, tooting machines, but you don't want that.
These are trained soldiers,
yeah,
man.
you don't want that smoke with
trained
trained soldiers.
Every day. That's what they're doing. That's why they're taking the orders that we're talking about and argued over it. That because their minds are trained to do it without question.
Yeah, absolutely. So is that it? And did anybody else want to touch on Petty?
Nah,
we kind of went off sideways a little bit, but
yeah, that was left.
Anybody wanted?
We went to the far in a direction.
We did. You know what? And I don't even give a fuck because we unsupervised. That's what we do.
Doubt. So.
And I actually learned some shit. So thank you.
You're welcome. So I guess this will be our main topic, but it's really more of the same. So it's something else that I found interesting. It was on social media. It is also on the Unsupervised Spinoff podcast page. So go check it out there. But it is an interesting exchange between a black driver who has been pulled over by an officer, and the black driver really, really lets this officer have it. He's really speaking to him to the point where the officer isn't even really responding. So check this out. Play it for y'all and get your thoughts.
When I hear something happen to a cop, I be like, I know it's an individual, not every cop is up, but when I hear something happen to a cop, I be like, he probably had his coming. Because a motherfuckers like you, good cops get up raps because of people like you. You came to the car with your gun out. For what? Do you have no conscience? You don't see what the going on TV? You know what, you don't give a right? Because I just would have been another dead black motherfucker, right? And you just would have went about your business, right? Right? Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. I have no issue if you can just be honest, right? You just would have been like, oh, a mistake happened. Right? You'd have been able to just wake up the next day, not lose a drop of motherfucking sleep. But I'd have had 3 fucking kids. 3 kids with no dad. Dad a criminal? Nope. Dad a thug? Nope. Dad shot dead by a cop, made a mistake. Because you want to come with your gun drawn. You got kids and a wife. Don't you want to make it to your fucking kids and wife? You picked a dangerous fucking job, and I respect that. I respect your job, but Mom G, drawing a fucking gun? That's why I lose the respect. The respect is out of the fucking window. You drew a fucking gun on me for a fucking turn signal. There's nothing illegal in this car, about me. I got a gun drawn on me. Shit's fucked up, man. I need to think about that. Yeah, I understand it's dangerous and all that. But that comes with your job. It comes with your job. And I'm quite sure that's proper training to where you don't have to draw your gun and you can still be safe. Pathetic, man. Fucking pathetic. Even the motherfuckers who be wanting to have respect for y'all, man, and kind of can understand the shit that y'all got to go through, being cops. But yo, y'all be going too far, y'all f*** it up.
Woo!
Yeah, man. That monologue is powerful. Like, I feel like if I write that down and perform that at my next audition, I will get the lead. That's how powerful that is. That's how powerful that is, man.
He's also not wrong.
West Coast
He's
Jay,
not wrong.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say, West Coast Jay, give me your raw thoughts.
He's not wrong. Like the part that I liked most was, are you watching TV? Do you see what's going on? And for my fucking turn signal, you come with your guns drawn for a turn signal. Like, you chose a dangerous job. I understand that. I respect that until you pull your gun for my turn signal.
Nothing illegal about me. Nothing illegal about the car.
Nothing illegal in the car, about me.
Nothing illegal about me, but you come up with your gun out. And you'll go on about your day, and I'll be just another dead black man. And I had 3 kids without a dad.
No dad.
Daddy,
don't you want to go home to your wife and kids?
Daddy a thug? Nope. Daddy a criminal? Nope.
Nope.
I like how just nothing illegal about the car? Nope.
Just another dead black man.
And that's the sadness that we're dealing with, man. That's the sickness. It's got to stop, man.
So I spent the last week or so, like I said in the check-in, and my shit was a little tumultuous because I spent a bunch of time listening to people be angry.
White people too.
Mostly. Like, I spent a bunch of time talking to white people this week. And they're angry, and I consistently, whenever they would tell me, I'm just so upset, I would say, well, what are you mad at? Well, he had his knee on his neck. I said, yeah. So are you upset at the brutality? Well, he didn't have to do that. Like, correct. So are you upset at procedure? Are you upset at training? Like, what are you mad at? Then they sit there quiet, try and figure out what they're mad at. Now, eventually, I say I had about 6 of these conversations. And in four of them, the next thing that came out was, well, I guess I'm just mad at the fact that I never had to think about it. I guess I'm mad at white privilege. And then they go from being angry to feeling guilty for shit they didn't do in the first place. So I was like, so what are you guilty for? because you have something that exists, or because you're recognizing that it exists and you didn't want to see it. Then it turns into, well, I mean, because it's been like this my whole life. And when we told you about it, you came up with many reasons why you wouldn't want to pay attention. One person literally said to me, I actually enjoyed being blissfully ignorant of it.
Right.
And I said, yeah, just like that little girl said in the thing. That's because it's easy to be blissfully ignorant when you're the majority.
Right.
So now that we've gotten all this out of the way, you figure out why you're mad. There's you work through your guilt. But more importantly, what can we do to fix it? 5 out of those 6 conversations were, I don't know. The 6th one said, much like you and much like the lady on the other Facebook rant or the Instagram rant you sent us, well, if police are if they're illegally caught doing this, they should be punished much more harshly than a civilian. I'm like, all right, there's one thing. Now, how do you make that happen? Like, I don't know. I said, start by writing to your lawmakers. Start by voting people in who
legislation.
Don't believe in the things that you currently are upset at. Start by actually listening instead of just spouting out and waiting for me to say what you think I'm supposed to say so that you can talk next. Listen to the fact that I'm trying to tell you that not only has this happened before, but here are the times where it's happened in the last 3 weeks. Did you pay attention to those, or was it because this one happened in real time? Was it because you could watch this one while it was happening?
Right.
The other ones are all after the fact, so you can sit there and pass judgment, make up your own excuses, whatever. But it's real difficult to do when you are witnessing it happen.
Yeah, because George Floyd was just the flavor of the day.
Bruh, I know that. You know that. Paul knows that. A lot of white America doesn't know that.
This shit ain't just, like, this is a thing. That's why we're so upset. This is a thing.
We have been telling you for years. Listen to any hip hop from the 80s. Get up, get down. 911 is a joke in your town. Why else will we make these songs?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not even from the songs, because the millions and millions and millions of people don't listen to these songs.
Fair enough.
Millions and millions of people saw this shit happen to George Floyd. And so,
in real time,
I think there is a level of ignorance out there that is willful, but I also think there's a segment of ignorance that's out there that they just don't know. Or and Van Jones says something from CNN very interesting. He said, it's almost like it's because there's a lot of people out there that think like racism's like their 17th most important thing that they think about. Or a lot of people don't think it exists at all. When you talk to voters and they ask how much is racism or systemic racism an issue for you, they either don't know it exists at all. They think it's gone because we're not slaves anymore. And that's just so far from the truth for 1,000 reasons. This stuff is out here. Do your research. And I got one more thing. That I want to play for you guys, and then we can discuss that, and then we can wrap it up. But I got one more thing I want to play. It's also on the Unsupervised spinoff. Facebook page, and we got to get into this because this one is from a whole nother perspective, and it's from the perspective of black men talking to black youth. And I thought this one was really dope as well. We're gonna play it, we're gonna get into it, and then we're gonna get on out of here. But check this out.
But we won't stand up for it. They get killed on the commission. Well, we worried about this. I understand. But we won't stand up for it. They get killed on the commission. I understand. How old are you? I'm tired of this. How old are you? I'm 45 years old. 45 and I'm 31. And I'm tired of seeing it. And you the older generation than me, and I am too. And we've been standing around as the older ones, taking all this bullshit. Always hoping for a kumbaya fucking y'all. Come in. Always standing around for a kumbaya. Ain't nobody coming to protect us. We gotta start our own fucking life. I understand. But let me tell you something right here. This 16. He's 16. They gonna kill him, nigga. He's 16. What we gonna do? You tell me. What we gonna do? This ain't the way. Cause they ready to let loose. If the United States president say, if you loot, we shoot. Then you think it's gonna know it. It's always gonna help. It's time to stand up. So at this point, I'm ready to die. What's going on? Let me tell you something. That's the problem that we got. You see, right now, it's gonna happen 10 years from now. And at 26, you're gonna be doing the same thing I'm doing. You understand that? 10 years. You're gonna be right here too. But he also got. So what I need you to do right now at 16 is come up with a better way. Cause how we doing it, it ain't working. He angry at 46. I'm angry at 31. You angry at 16. It's over, you understand me? Putting yourself in harm's way is not the way. No, it's not. You and the other your counterparts the same age and that has that same power. Y'all come up with a better way. Cause we ain't doing it. And I have a 5-year-old son. And it ain't happening. I watched 4 years ago. Keep my shot. Did the same shit y'all do. The same exact thing night after night after night. Hey, y'all. It don't matter. Come up with a better way.
Come up with a better way, gentlemen.
Come up with a better way.
So West Coast, you hit it on the head when you said, so how do we fix it?
So how do we fix it? Like, that's the ultimate question. And right now, I don't think that people are in the headspace to do it. Because right now, we're still working through all of the different stages as a group, as a nation. You feel me? Everybody is going through anger, guilt, sadness, regret. All of those things are still happening. We haven't gotten to a point where we've gotten through all of the grief so that we can actually clearly think and figure out what to do next. Now, I've seen some decent suggestions. The harsher penalties for police, that's one suggestion that I've seen. I've seen there are a bunch of people that are posting things that are literally saying there are 8 things that you can do that would change your police force. Just 8 off top. And for every police force that's enacted these 8 rules, or these 8 rule changes, rather, violence has dropped by 72%. Just these 8 things. So if we can make sure you, again, 22 weeks, next week it'll be 21 weeks, 20 weeks, etc., etc. In the meanwhile, figure out who your local and state government representatives are. because those are the people that'll change your life immediately. Now, with regard to the president, at this point, I am of the mind that the current president is not doing anything helpful, healing based. Everything that he is doing is still very separatist. That is still very, okay, I'm me, so I'm going to do what the hell I want and F them. And until he gets to a point where he's helpful, where he's coming on TV and telling people to heal, not telling people we're going to shoot at you. If he's coming on TV telling people, listen, stop, we're working on reforms. We've got committees that are coming together right now that are trying to figure out what we can do from a federal levels to enforce these things, which I don't think he's going to do. So he can go.
And it's not and just listeners, it's not a Republican Democrat thing.
No, because I'm not a Joe Biden fan in the least.
When John, I don't care about Joe Biden. When John Kasich was the governor of Ohio, he's a Republican. When Tamir Rice was killed, he was the governor. The state legislation and Governor Kasich, it met immediately. They met with the administration. They met with local leaders. They met with individual police chiefs. They met with civil rights leaders and activists. They met with the community, and they pulled everybody in. And they met with the state government and said, we're not leaving until we figure out how to fix this.
And this president is not doing that.
So, but here's what I'm saying. It's not. I don't want to draw the line and say Republican and Democrat, because I don't care what your party affiliation is. You should care about children being killed in the streets by law enforcement, period. So kick the notion out that just because you have a Republican governor or mayor or whatever, they're not going to do anything about it. No, Donald Trump just doesn't fucking care.
That this particular man does not care.
Don't give no fucks.
Whatsoever. He is now proving it over and over again.
He wants to stop. He wants to brutalize people that are already protesting about police brutality. He wants to dominate them. I don't even, these fucking little weird ass words like I would dominate them. What? You want to dominate U.S. citizens?
Yeah, because this is a war game. He is playing this like it is a war game. He is not playing this like he's actually dealing with human beings.
Well, it is my opinion. It is my opinion that he's almost all we have to do is show up. He's almost guaranteed himself and his party a complete fucking thrashing in November.
Yep.
Because the one thing he could not afford to happen is for people to unite around a cause.
That's correct. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I think you asked me whether or not Biden was going to have a chance to unseat him.
Biden will be our next president after
this. Yeah. He will.
Well, we've still got to do the right things and all that stuff.
We got to show up and show out.
We got to show up.
Based on what's going on right now, leading to where we currently are, I think that anything that the Trump administration does, even if they say, okay, guys, here's another round of stimulus checks. You know what we're going to do? We're going to also make all your employers bump up your pay because for the essential workers. You know what else we're going to do? We're going to do some other bullshit for you. I don't give a fuck what it is. I still believe that the American public are going to say, you know what? Thanks. You're setting something up for the next president to fix.
Yeah,
correct.
Because and I'll say the one thing he had to do that would have guaranteed him to be reelected
was ask for peace.
is come out and say, yo, I hear you. I understand.
Yes. That's it.
I get it.
That's it.
That's it.
You know what? I'm going to fix this. I see all these people in all 50 states protesting for the first time ever in the history of our country. I see you.
I ask you all, please stay home. You know,
Right.
yes.
That's all he would have had to do. All he would have had to do is come out and sound empathetic.
I implore you, please let us.
All he had to do was be presidential and come together.
Just sound
Let's come together
empathetic.
in these trying times.
And
we have the authorities on it. The lawyers, their attorneys are working on prosecuting the police officers. We got charges out. Let's not ruin a good thing. Let's focus our attention. You know what I'm saying?
That's all he had to do.
He had to lead us, but you know what he did? He said, "Fuck you, y'all better shut the fuck up."
Right.
This is what he said.
And he would have destroyed Joe Biden in November.
Absolutely murdered him. It would have been.
Absolutely.
He could have been. He could have been like, "I got y'all stimulus checks." Exactly. He could have been like, he should have been like, "Yeah, so those first 3 years was a little rocky, but guess what? I got y'all stimulus checks. I helped the economy, and I fixed this shit between law enforcement and the black community." And it would have been over.
All he would have had to do was come out like a human instead of coming out like a tyrant.
He could have came out and said, we need to get better training for our... My thing is, he could have said a lot of things and nothing would have happened.
Correct. He could have given us all the lip service, but in reality...
He could have been a politician.
All he would have had to do.
Just be a politician. That's
he
it.
didn't... He's told us who he was from the beginning. We've known who he was with regard to the black community since the Central Park 5. We've known the whole time.
His daddy was a member of the KKK.
That's what I'm saying. We've known the whole time. All he would have had to do...
current sitting president, his daddy, we just posted a fucking video of a little girl arguing back and forth with her parents. Do you think Donald Trump did that with his daddy?
Absolutely not.
No. But here's my thing. Well, we know about Donald Trump's history with the black community, but for every black person out there, it's a white person out there. So I would have thought that the optics of this would have said, yeah, I normally don't give a fuck about the black community, but it's also like a whole lot of white people out there. Let me at least make them think I'm gonna do something about this shit. Cause I don't give a fuck about them niggas. But at least let me make the white people think I'm gonna do something. Let me make that little girl think I'm gonna do something about this.
You would have thought that Charlottesville, when he said, there's good people on both sides, you would have thought he learned from that. And instead of promoting hate, he started trying to lead with love one time. Just once. That's all he would have needed to do.
KKK.
Just one time.
Brother, the niggas, bruh. Okay, bruh. Money, we didn't talk about your dad on the show. We were talking about my pops.
Yeah.
Jada mentioned his pops on the show. Any man who grew up with his pops in his life is going to talk about his dad. The nigga's daddy was a member of the KKK. He don't fuck with us, bruh.
Right. But again, just for optics, politics, and to win an election, all he would have had to do was say something that all of the people in the past have said about come together. That's it. He could have played the damn Beatles song.
You don't give a fuck.
Well, now he has almost guaranteed his defeat.
But do he give a fuck though?
And that yes, he gives a fuck because he very much wants to be president.
He give a fuck? I think the only reason why he gives a fuck is because he don't want to be the first one in a long time not serve 2 terms.
He very much wants. That's why I say he very much wants to be president.
Yes, he does. He enjoys that power. He is a despot. He enjoys it.
So all I'm saying is, just like we said 2 weeks ago, I was ready to say, boy, it's gonna be, but I can't promise you Biden gonna win.
2 weeks ago, it was a uphill sledding for Joe Biden.
But the optics of this,
all of the
now,
optics.
because
We
now
all have the image of him holding a Bible after tear gassing peaceful protesters. That's what we have stuck in our head now.
And that shit gonna be stuck in people's heads for, because now Democrats can go down the slate.
Dude.
They can say COVID. They can say Russia. They can say Ukraine, abuse of power, porn stars.
All of the
they
things.
can, and then they can say he tear gassed and like everybody. Like he doesn't. Hell, his own generals, the secretary, General Mathis came out and said he's the biggest. I've never seen a president this much of a divider. He's got people resigning. The United States, the Secretary of Defense is going to have to. Mark Esper is going to have to resign.
Like he's divisive.
Exactly. And so now, the chief of staffs may very well also have to resign. The Pentagon's having to put out statements like, we can't march troops in the U.S. state. Like, it is so crazy right now.
Yep. And again, all he had to do was be a human.
That's it. All he had to do was pass this fucking little stimulus check thing and then be a human.
Play a human for the cameras. Let's even phrase it like that. All he would have had to do was act like a human for the cameras. He wouldn't even do that.
Nope.
So the one thing I can give him, he's kept it real the whole time. He just happens to be a real asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, we hate to be real assholes, but we've been talking for a long time, and we're going to have to stop and come back and do it again next week. I've thoroughly enjoyed my co-host, West Coast Jay, Hollywood Polish, your boy Money, the real himself. West Coast Jay, man, do me a favor. Zip them up.
You know it. Make sure if you are having these conversations that you use the 2 ears that you have before you use the 1 mouth that you have. Listen to people when they tell you what's wrong. Ask them questions so that they can help understand themselves what they're actually upset with. But always lead that conversation to a solution. Let's be solution-oriented, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do that. And as always, be excellent to each other. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That's all I got.
Hey, man. Hollywood Paul, do me a favor, man. Zip them up.
Man, all I want to say is, I applaud everybody that protested. I really do. I want to get that out. And, you know, I don't want to forget about the essential workers out there because we're still in phase 2, everyone. There's a lot of distracting things going on. There's a lot of draining emotionally and mentally things going on. Please try to find your focus. Try to find the positivity in something. And if not, I want to get this out to the protesters. If not, please find the headquarters of like student loan people, creditors for like auto loans and shit, and like, you know, FICA and Equifax, all the motherfuckers. Find that and protest there. But other than that, on some real shit, definitely, you know, like my man West Coast said, be kind to one another. You know, and shout out to everybody that's definitely standing up for the cause, because we've been fighting this for decades and for a long time, man. And a lot of people in this country have to understand that there's an open dialogue that needs to happen, and you have to be open to have that, or else you're always you're gonna continuously get some backlash from it, because times are changing, people are changing, ideals are changing. You understand that enough is enough. Things gotta change. So with that being said, I just want everybody to be open for change. That's all I got, man.
No doubt, no doubt. I don't have anything too crazy, man. It's been a week, and I'm very, very encouraged by, like the guy was saying on the tape, man. In 10 years, you're gonna be right here where I'm, and as we've progressed through this, I'm not quite so sure. I'm not quite so sure in 10 years we're gonna be where we are right now, and that is encouraging to me. I really think I saw, Steven Jackson with George Floyd's daughter on his shoulders, and he was like, "What's up with your daddy, baby?" And she was like, "Daddy changed the world." And just based on what I'm seeing, I don't know that I can disagree. Hopefully we continue to follow through, follow up. We got a lot of court cases going on. Continue to love, man. Find that love in your heart. Find that love in your heart. Find that love for other people. And we're gonna make it through this together, no matter what color you are. Like I said, we don't have an issue. We don't have an issue with white folks. We have an issue with racist white folks. I'm in the group, a membership of teams that are like outing racist. They making racist comments, things like, throw some bananas in the streets. I hear they like bananas. They'll go home, or things like shoot them all. What these groups are doing is they're finding comments like that, finding where you work, and graciously helping you begin your search for a new career that you needed. So things are definitely happening out here. We just send these texts and these emails back to each other, and and simply titled "Another One," like DJ Khaled, "Another One." So don't be out there being a victim of our "Another One" campaign. Show love. Anyway, y'all already know what I'm gonna say, man. If you're not rocking with the Defy Life, what's your life about? We out.
If you're into all things comics, you have to check out Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC, your go-to podcast for comic and superhero discussion, debates, polls, and more. Tune in as Regular Scott and Ozzy Killmonger chat about your favorite comic topics, and you never know who may show up for an open mic, or what will be next on their favorite One Gotta Go. Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC, every Sunday, powered by the Defy Life Podcast Network.